try to give you an overview of the global health security, maybe future, or at least how we could evolve from the very hard experience of this pandemic. And first of all, let me remind you that when we talk about global health security, we talk about protection, detection, corrective actions in front of serious public health event, and in order to reduce the vulnerability of the people in the world, or at least on a very large scale. As you said, it was not unexpected that this pandemic would happen. Many alerts took place in the past few years, not only through new emerging germs that we observe, like HIV or SARS, the re-emerging Ebola spreading in West Africa, and many influenza epidemics. So we were expecting this to happen, and there were many alerts from experts in the world to politicians about the need to prepare adequately for this type of events. And the last one was the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board, which issued a report in September 2019 and saying that the world is absolutely not prepared for this type of epidemic and pandemics, and that it will create not only loss of life, but also upend epidemic economics and create social chaos. So that was not very long ago. And I think we can expect that such events will continue in the future. So it's maybe not going to be the one century event. It's going to be probably reoccurring and very soon. So we have to think in terms of how do we reshape and reinforce global health security globally. So I would say from this pandemic experience, I would start first by how I see some positive aspects. First of all, I will say we observe that there is an unprecedented mobilization and support of citizens in the world. And this is absolutely extraordinary. The solidarity we observe everywhere is amazing. We see also, we have seen a very high level of government commitment, and this is very encouraging, obviously. And we have seen a very good role, I will say, of media. Well, you can say media are spreading fear, but I think media have done much more in terms of spreading knowledge and prevention methods to everyone. And I think they have played a very crucial and positive role. Okay, now what have we seen in terms of, I would say, unsatisfactory response? First, we have seen a delay in detection because, as you know, there was about a month between the appearance of this virus and the time it was reported and action were taken. We've seen a delay in response in many countries. Many countries were denying the problem very recently, still very recently, and that obviously has built the ground for the spread of the virus. We have seen also a huge amount of inappropriate actions, such as closure of borders between countries, while we know that the virus doesn't stop at borders. And this has affected, obviously, the economy, but also the capacity to respond effectively. We've seen some inappropriate political and technical judgment on this epidemic. You know, not too long ago, I was hearing, oh, this is just a little flu and no one will really be at risk, and we don't need to take specific actions. And this was up to the highest level of some governments. And we have seen, we see now that the huge vulnerability and inequalities in the world, especially for marginalized population, the ones who have poor access to care, who are at greatest risk, in addition to countries who also have access to care. But we see how we have to deal with this very high vulnerability, and no one had really prepared for that. And finally, I think we see that the public health response that sometimes has not been fully appropriate. And I will take an example, a very small example, but Singapore, for example, has monitored a very good indicator, which is the interval between symptoms detection and isolation. And this shows how well the public health program and the health system is operating to respond to this epidemic. Well, there are very few countries in the world nowadays which have such indicator, for example. So there is a need to really refine the public health response. And another area is the weakness of stocks of equipment for protections. We know that most countries are lacking masks, most countries are lacking tests, and other protective equipment. So this is this is the picture that I see the lessons we can learn so far from the response to this epidemic, and also certainly not the least is we've seen unfortunately political interference in this response and decisions. And for example, we know that the public health emergency declared by WHO was delayed following some political pressure and so on. So now where could we go and where should we go for the future? Well, I think there are some, I would say, 4 key areas where we should start thinking for the future. The first one is, I must say, and this is really ambitious probably, and but I think it has to be considered. We have to look now for maybe a strong global governance for health with as little as possible political interference. And this is for the management of epidemics, pandemics, obviously, but also to work also on issues like access to care. I mean, there are no reasons that a French person like me has capacity to access to very sophisticated care and an Indian person doesn't have. I mean, we live on the same planet, we live on a global world nowadays, and we have to make everything we can so everyone has access to quality care, and that should be prioritized everywhere. So the development of medical tools also is important. And when I talk about medical tools, it's for example, vaccines or tests. This is in the hands of the private sectors, but there may be a need now to have a global control and capacity to produce on a large scale and quickly this type of tools which are badly needed in such cases, and also to make sure that they are distributed everywhere in the world, whatever the income of countries is. And then it will be also this global governance to promote access to essential equipment globally, and to promote global research with development of networks to collaborate globally for needed research in these areas, which are not always money-making business, but need to be done for the security of the world. So the second point I wanted to make is that we need to revise the international health regulations. The international health regulations is this agreement that was made between all countries a little bit more than 10 years ago after the SARS outbreak. And in light of the impact that these outbreaks had on the world, but it appears through this pandemic that there are many weaknesses in these regulations, and that in fact many of the agreements that were made are not applied and respected at all. So we need to work on a more global international agreement between countries on how to react to these events. Now, third point is we need to have a global task force for health security, the 911 that we could call everywhere in the world if something happens, even at the community level, to alert and take very, very quick actions. And this should be developed not only at international level, but at national level, provincial level, and eventually even community level. And it should be able to be deployed in a matter of hours everywhere in the world. And that last point is to say we need money. There is very little money for the work on epidemics. The budget of WHO was about $100 million. And we have, for example, the Global Fund that now raised $1 billion, even 13 or 14 billion of dollars for their various programs, which are very important. But we need this equivalent for epidemics and pandemics prevention and control. So this is my overview of the situation now and where it should go in the future. Thank you.